What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fort Myers Shores. We're going to see what type of damages took place here in Fort Myers Shores. As you can see, there was storm surge. These houses here are on the Caloosahatchee River, and Fort Myers Shores being kind of an out-of-the-way community, you probably would have not heard that this happened, but the Caloosahatchee River does come up Fort Myers Shores, and as you can see, there's been considerable storm surge damage here. In fact, it looks pretty bad. If you don't run over anything, baby.
Yeah.
So Fort Myers Shores, the communities of Fort Myers Shores that are along the Caloosahatchee River, definitely there was a lot of storm surge come through here, and people lost just about everything. And this is actually pretty far inland. We're a good ways east of 75, so even east of 75, the storm surge up the Caloosahatchee River damaged a lot of properties here. People lost just about everything they owned. Very sad to see this happen to this community. Some wind damage as well, but for the most part, it's all storm surge. What's interesting is how far we are from the Gulf of Mexico here. But nonetheless, the Caloosahatchee River, watch out, you're hitting trees, you're hitting trees. The Caloosahatchee River, unfortunately does connect to the Gulf of Mexico, and somehow the storm surge did somehow manage to push all the way up into here. Way east of 75, there's still damages. Looks like the same scene we saw in Bonita Springs, Florida, except we're really far inland here. We are really far inland. But you see that some of these houses, the main floor is 2 stories, and the bottom floor is just a garage on a lot of the newer houses. The older houses, perhaps they never imagined. See, there's a boat here on land, pickup truck. And again, we are far, far inland. It's just crazy that the storm surge actually made it this far. And you'll notice that the newer houses being built have a much considerable elevation compared to the older houses that are in this community. Houses that are kind of a few blocks in, they only had maybe carpet damage, but the houses that are further in and closer to the water, you'll start to see much more furniture by the side of the road. So it's a kind of hit or miss on the street because it's private, but you can see there's a lot of storm surge. I really hate myself for having to record this, but I do feel like it's important for people to know that the streets in Fort Myers Shores had this damage. I think it's important for people who are moving here in the future to understand this. I think it's important for a lot of reasons, but as you can see on the street, it's a lot of damage. It really is just overwhelming how much the people here lost. And all I can hope is that the insurance companies do what they're supposed to. I mean, that's what we pay for, but a lot of times it seems like the insurance companies like to hide when they're most needed. But this is complete destruction here of these people's properties, and it's definitely heartbreaking that they're going through this. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, the storm surge rule sometimes do that. This is Den, and we'll swing back around. What's different about Fort Myers Shores is that there's a lot of full-time residents. You can see this older house lost its shingle roof. Pretty typical for older houses to lose their roof like that. Newer roofs won't do that though. I'm just gonna guess that the vast majority of this area here is people who are full-time residents, because this is far enough inland to where not everybody here is a snowbird. This is a little bit further inland, so there's a lot of normal residents here. Really sad to look at. Power cords are still down here, so I'm gonna guess some people still don't have power, or they do have power. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just a telephone cord. It's very difficult to watch this, and especially in an area where it's not snowbirds. A lot of these people are full-time residents. You can tell. But this destruction is in Fort Myers Shores. This is just north of Lehigh. This is very far in. Can't stress that enough. Just a chaotic scene. Can't get enough of these signs that say "Stay out, scrappers," or "Stay out." Like, they'll let the garbage take it, but they don't want nobody else to take it. It's interesting. They don't want scrap metal slinging through the piles. I think most of the time scrappers are not inconsiderate, but just an interesting thing to see. And this destruction is about 10 miles from where I live. Not far. I already also start to smell the mold and just the wetness. It's pretty bad. It's definitely a difficult scene to take in. And even I knew the Caloosahatchee River was behind Fort Myers Shores. I just didn't think this type of destruction would be so close to where I live, so far inland. Okay, I love the dolphin mailbox. That is fancy. Otherwise, before this event, this is a beautiful community. Very tropical vibes. Access to the Gulf if you don't mind driving down the Caloosahatchee River for about an hour. Just kind of an overwhelming scene here. And despite the fact it's a Sunday, there's not really a chance for the residents to rest. They got a lot of work to do. Where the water line came to there. If you get a chance, just look and see how far inland Fort Myers Shores is. It's incredible that the storm surge made it this far out. A lot of these just are little older ranches, so they're first-story homes. It's wild to think that the Caloosahatchee River had storm surge damage. I wonder if that place that we were looking to buy in LaBelle would have got storm surge, remember? That was right on the Caloosahatchee River. Sometimes after seeing all the destruction, I'm glad we didn't buy a house, because if we had bought a house, it could have been in one of these areas. A lot of the houses that we looked at, I mean, it was a good thing that we didn't end up buying a property. I know, like, if I ever do buy a property in the future, it can't be in a low-lying area. It's almost like if you're gonna live in Florida, you gotta end up with a newer home that's got a good elevation, that's built newer, up to the wind codes. Like, buying an older house in Florida really has a lot of liability. There's always a potential for something to just go really wrong. And this event really would have not been too traumatic. I mean, the winds here were not that incredible. It was just the fact that the Caloosahatchee River storm surge came through here. So this might have not been the most traumatic event while it was happening, but the damages are deep. But even as you drive through here, you can kind of see the difference between the elevation of the newer homes that are being built and the elevation of the older houses that are here from maybe the 70s or 80s. And you can just see that some properties that were built, the kind of properties that were built earlier on, older properties, they really got the brunt of this because of the elevation of the homes. Keep going straight. People have been asking what happens to all this garbage. It gets taken to a county landfill. Sometimes it may take 2 or 3 months. By then this will smell really, really bad, as you can imagine. And other times it will also be private contractors. The government sometimes will get private companies an opportunity to get their hands on some of this garbage. So they'll by yardage, the county or the city, whoever's in charge of picking this up, most likely the county will pay private companies as well to help out. But they could handle it themselves. It's just going to depend on which way they go about it. It's going to depend too. On some areas will be the county or the city, and in some areas will be private contractors. So that will definitely make a huge difference. Like I said, some places will be private contractors, some places will be the city. Very strange for somebody to be blasting music on a Sunday where everybody's just kind of lost everything. I could see how tempers could flare over that one. Watch out, don't hit this stuff. Man, that's an ugly shed. I was just about losing if somebody was blasting music and I was going through this crap. That was an odd thing to see there. Very festive salsa music. Very strange. Very strange indeed. I think if my neighbors were going through this, I wouldn't be blasting music outside. Some people are just kind of not in touch with their surroundings. Nice staghorn. I guess as you move further down this way, the streets, a few blocks in, at some point the storm surge damage kind of stops, and then you should start to see wind damage like here. So the storm surge, it's just the streets that are kind of adjacent to the water. Once you move a few blocks down, you kind of stop seeing. Like on this street here, it doesn't seem like there was any storm surge damage in most of these homes, so it kind of stops abruptly. But Fort Myers Shores also suffered a lot. On the residential, they suffered. On the commercial end, they suffered a lot. It seems like everything along Palm Beach Boulevard, all the businesses here kind of look boarded up, and they don't look like they're ready to go back to business anytime soon. The businesses along Palm Beach are also slow to recover here. So the Fort Myers Shores area took a pretty big hit. And like I said, even the businesses that are facing Palm Beach Boulevard, it just kind of looks a little bit more run down, and it's going to be a difficult little run for these businesses here along Palm Beach. It just looks kind of sad and just kind of depressing compared to what it looked like not that long ago. It almost feels like 10 years have passed by when really it hasn't. Alright, so we haven't even had breakfast yet. We gotta find something to eat.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to the barbershop today, but it's gonna be too late for that.